Friend and I used to practice target shooting with my family's crossbow. He was 18, I was 19. We'd set up an old hay bale at the edge of the yard and paint a white circle on it. It's not exactly a lethal weapon, but it's definitely not a toy.
I always warn people to be careful, but last week when my friend called asking to shoot, I said yes, without thinking twice. Sometimes you just know it's going to be a good story, and it was. We ended up catching the most incredible sunrise on the cliffs. For a couple of hours, nothing else mattered. And now, telling it here, it feels like the start of the next.
Yesterday, my buddy came over to check out the crossbow I'd been working on. He arrived quickly and grabbed the crossbow in excitement. I told him to review the safety rules.
Yeah, I remember.
He was too hyped to listen, but we slowed things down and made sure everything was safe before we even thought about shooting. It turned into one of those moments you can't help.
I demonstrated the proper way again, and he fired a few shots safely at the target. Everything seemed completely normal, but you could tell that moment meant a lot to him. The tension in his shoulders just melted away. Those little victories are why I love doing this. Helping someone feel capable and getting to share the story afterward. All right, let's get into today.
Here's what happened. We were at this indoor dart range, just me and a couple of friends. I stepped past the line to grab a few more darts stuck in the board. Totally the opposite direction from where anyone was throwing, right? I'm pulling them out, minding my own business, when out of nowhere, thud, right on the side of my head. It took me a second to realize one of their darts.
My vision went black for a second, but there was no pain. When I looked up, my friend was frozen, holding the crossbow, eyes wide in shock. That's the premise. Instinctively, I pulled the dart out of my head as blood started running. I screamed, "Call 911!" while he just stood there trembling.
Police and medics arrived fast. I was fully conscious and somehow calm. The dart had missed my eye and temple by barely an inch. It was the closest call I've ever had, and retelling it still gives me chills. But it also reminds me how lucky I am to be here, sharing stories with you. Thanks for listening.
Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is where I get to share stories that keep me up at night and hopefully spark something in you. Every time I sit in front of this mic, I feel like the world gets a little quieter and the words matter more. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into today's chapter. It starts with a mistake, a split-second decision that changed everything, but more on that in a minute.
A week. He only called once to ask if I was okay. Now I can't stop asking myself, can I ever be his friend again? I don't have the answer, but talking about it here makes the weight a little lighter. And if you're going through something similar, maybe my story can keep you company.
That's why I keep the mic on. There's always another
I've
chapter.
got a wild story for you today. Last winter, a friend of mine took a shortcut that nearly cost me my life. We slid off a frozen bridge and I was trapped under the water. He panicked and ran, and a stranger pulled me out. When he showed up at the hospital, all I could think about was whether forgiveness could ever feel